What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam, episode 84. This week we doubled down and have two very special guests with us. Tara Buntin from A Cake to Remember and Tara Jacobsen from Marketing Artfully join us to discuss a plethora of Etsy SEO topics. Stay tuned to find out what secret Facebook group Tara has joined, what controversial topic Tara wants to discuss, and what recent purchase they both made to help organize their mazes of marketing material. What is up? Welcome to Etsy Jam. I'm Gordon Hardy from Marmalead.
And I am Richie from Marmalead. And if you don't yet know what Marmalead is, but you have an Etsy shop you are serious about, you gotta go get yourself some Marmalead, because Marmalead gets your products found with real shopper keywords. And if you're wondering, where can I get some of this Marmalead? Well, you gotta go over to marmalead.com, which is marmalead.com.
And we've got an awesome episode for us this week. We have two very special guests joining us today. I feel like this is going to be crazy, but I think it's going to be awesome crazy at the same time. So, first of all, Tara, thank you for joining us. This is going to be sweet.
Thank you for being brave enough to have us on together.
Double trouble.
Yeah, exactly. There were some rumblings in the group about it, and people being like, yeah, you guys should both get on the jam at the same time. Let's campaign for it. Well, it's happening. So it's fantastic.
Yay!
In case you guys don't know Tara and Tara already, Tara is from A Cake to Remember, and she's been on the jam multiple times with us before. So if you haven't seen those episodes, you should definitely check them out. You can just go to Google and search for Etsy Jam Tara Buntin, and you'll find all those. And Tara Jacobsen has been with us on the jam multiple times before as well. And so if you head out to Google and you search for Tara Jacobsen or Marketing Artfully and Etsy Jam, you will find all of those episodes as well. So I encourage you to listen to those. Both of these people know a lot about Etsy SEO and even SEO in general, and so they're fantastic to listen to and to speak with. It's always a privilege to have you both on with us. So thank you again so much for joining us.
Well,
Happy to be here.
Thank you for having us. Yeah.
So before we started the show here, Tara, you kind of teased like three different topics. You wanted to do a little structure. You had three different things to talk about. You shared the first thing with us before the jam. We don't know the other two yet, so we'll just see how this goes. But the first thing
she hasn't told me. I don't know what they are. I think I should have some idea, but I don't. So.
Nobody knows.
That's all right.
Nobody
Okay.
knows. Because one of them I think is very controversial.
Okay.
Oh,
All right, so I'm going to start. I want to know, what do you guys all do when there is hot SEO news from Etsy? Tara, you had hot SEO news right from Etsy.
Well, okay. Now, is it from Etsy or is it from the Etsy forums? That's the first question.
Oh, that's a good qualifying question.
Because the first thing I do is go to actual Etsy sources to see if I can find anything to back it up. If I can't, then I keep it in the back of my mind, but I'm not going to put a lot of stock into things that don't come directly from Etsy. And we were talking about the hot topic is the Etsy seller success group that they started, and they're going to be doing a revamp of the forums and the community space on Etsy in the fall. They have said this publicly in the forums, and one of his name is Nicole. It's in one of the posts in the forums. A recent admin said this, so it's not just people speculating. They said they're going to be revamping the forums, and I think that this group has something to do with that. I don't know what, because they don't tell us everything, but they invited people to be in this group. I happened to get an invitation. I was one of many people, so it's not like it's a secret thing that they're handing out information just to me, But they had the guy who's in charge of the search ranking team came to the group and answered some SEO questions that people had posted. Now, because he's in charge of the search ranking team, I believe him, okay? If this was stuff that I had seen in the forums, I might question it, but this is someone from Etsy who's in charge of the search ranking team. And because I know that they're going to be updating the community spaces, and they also have said they're going to be updating the search articles also. So since Etsy's search is changing and the whole thing, I know that somewhere soon they're going to be updating all these articles. And the stuff that this guy said is probably just a precursor to that. So I believe that.
What were the two key takeaways that you got from that information that he sent?
The two key things, well, there were a few key things, but the main thing that was most different was that they're not weighting the front of the titles any more strongly than the end of the title. So you can put your keywords anywhere in the title and they'll still be found, which is what I had been seeing in search anyway.
So I would just like to say, now granted, Google tends to find Etsy categories more than it finds individual items, but it is possible to get found in Google search for your Etsy items. I know that because I have stats that show that happens. And so that does affect Etsy, but I think one of the things that people forget is that what you do in that first part of your title affects your Google rankings too, being able to be found for that search. So they're not going to find something at the end of that title. And number two, like they can't find handmade if it's an attribute. They can't find vintage if it's an attribute. So one of the things that drives me nuts is people take all this Etsy talk and then they don't think about real world ramifications for it. Not you, Kara, of course. I mean, we talk behind the scenes and we're like,
no, but that's true that you tend to think about Etsy SEO and Google interrelatedly more than a lot of people do, and more than I do, honestly, because I kind of think of Etsy and then I think of Google separately for my website. But that is something that he said. He said, Etsy isn't going to look at the front of your title, but Google is probably. So, and he said, make sure that you write your title for customers. He said, always write your title for customers. And if your most descriptive part of your title is at the front where they can see it under the thumbnail and the search results, then that's going to help your customer too. Also, Google might look at it that way. So he didn't just say, it doesn't matter. You know, there's all these other, but people don't, I don't think that people think about writing for the customer because everybody's so focused on the search engines. And I've always written for the customer. I don't know if that has helped or hurt me in the long run, but like I always use edible butterflies as an example because it's so specific, but like I'll say 24 rainbow edible butterflies, you know, is just opposed to edible butterflies. Because that way, if someone is looking at the thumbnail and the search results, they can see how many, they can see the color, they see what it is, and it's all right at the front of the title. I tend to write that way, and that is what he said. So basically, if you're doing your SEO right now, you don't need to go and change anything because of that. He also said to keep your title short and sweet. He said that several times, short and sweet, short and sweet.
Okay, so that's a good one to clarify what I have feelings about. You know, I have lots of feelings, but I've heard that in the last thing, oh, you should have shorter titles. And then everybody went nuts. Like the gurus all went on and did Facebook Lives about how you should have 5-word titles now and blah, 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 blah. So, Kara, what is your thought about this? And then I'll tell you my thoughts because I have their legion.
Okay, my thoughts about it are short and sweet is relative to the amount of space that they give you. And if they give you all that space, I'm filling up all that space because it's there and Etsy reads the whole thing. So why waste your space by leaving it empty? So keep your most important part right at the front, short and sweet, and then put some more keywords in there.
They have said that the description doesn't count, which is, you know, yes, I believe them at this point. But if you then if you're saying, oh, I have room to put 35 keywords in there, but I'm going to keep it down to 5. Why would you do that? And then, okay, this is my biggest pet peeve, which I got on Etsy Jam so I could say it. Don't change every one of your listings the next day based on information you get from a random stranger, even one that works at Etsy.
Yeah.
Gordon, what are your thoughts about changing every one of your listings at one time?
I think you're going to have a bad time as a seller. You know, you're going to go through and change everything. And best case, it's good advice and it's correct and true. And you're going to need to update your listings. But even in that situation, I wouldn't do all of them at once. I wouldn't want to go through and basically start from scratch on all of my listings with all new titles and tags. You kind of, as a seller, you build up credit for the keywords that you're targeting and the ones that you get found for. And when you swap all those out, all of a sudden, you're kind of starting from ground zero to build up some credibility again.
Also consider that even if that person was correct in what they told you and it's timely, so it's already in effect and everything was trustworthy, what if you just misunderstood them a little bit? And then you went out and changed 400 listings, thinking you understood what was said, but then you changed 400 of them, not knowing that you did it wrong.
That happens a lot.
Of course it happens a lot.
Well,
like
and-
I'll post a video, or like Tara will post a video, and I see questions underneath. It's like clearly this person didn't understand what we were saying, because they're asking a question that kind of is what we were saying, but not exactly. So, ask a question before you go and change 400 listings, because that's really not a good plan overall.
And we have a
Small
gal
batch.
that follows both of us, and she's amazing. Tracy, love her. And
Oh, you guys know Tracy.
Sure
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
she's
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
Marmalead group a lot. Tracy
Yeah.
Gazal. I'm sure I
Yeah.
said it wrong.
Hello, Tracy.
But she's super smart, because she asked in the Marmalead group, both Kara and I, are you going to change your listings based on this? Now, I have 50 in my digital product store, maybe 49 right now, and I have 400 in my vintage store. I don't see the value of wasting your time acting productive doing something like that when you're not, like, why wouldn't you add more listings in? And this is a big one for me, you guys. I'm a huge one for using the Etsy stats. And if you are going to go in and change something and try something, please look at your stats. They have your bottom, 10 listings there? Change those. Do not go in and change your top 10 listings today or ever until you
Ever.
have a thing that says that it's actually going to be effective.
So how many listings would you guys both suggest that sellers change at any given time? And then how long would you suggest they wait to see if those changes are working?
I mess around. Like, I will say that I mess around with listings. Like, I'll hear something and I'll do it, especially with my digital products. Now, for my vintage peeps who follow me, I love you, and I wish that this was a better answer for you. But for vintage, like, there's no way to track it. There's no way to tell it, because you don't have sales volume over time and things like that. But for my digital products, I will go in and change some of those bottom ones. And I guess I'm not that attentive. I probably wait a month if I was really going to say, oh, the next time I would actually take a day and kind of go through stats and look and see what's going on. Kara, how long do you change things? And 2, do you wait?
Okay, I'm a very bad girl, and I don't change much, because like when something comes up and it renews on its own, like it hasn't sold, but I have over 900 listings in my shop. I can't go in there and monitor everything. It's just impossible. So I can tell when they come up, oh, it's like, oh, this is one of the ones I first listed when I first opened the shop, and I didn't know what I was doing. I'll redo that completely, but I rarely go back and check stats.
And I love stats. I have found for the vintage, the one thing that does help us is the stats and looking at those long tail keywords. And I've done this with some people that I've worked with, to where we found, like, oh, nightstands. Like, one of the people I worked with a lot, we found nightstands came up a lot. Are you kidding me? That's not a keyword that anybody in the United States would ever think would be a popular keyword. But in her store, it was. And it's kind of the path of least resistance. If your store is already doing good for some keywords, then make sure you know those keywords and you try to keep ranking for those keywords. And that was in something they just put out, Kara. Can't remember from where, but they said that they do attribute that to you. And this is the same as YouTube. This is the same as Google. I just went in and looked at my YouTube stats, because I'm like, I'm going to be making some Marketing Artfully videos that aren't Etsy related. And I'm like, well, which ones that aren't Etsy related are doing good? And they're few and far between, because Etsy is functionally thinks that my YouTube channel is an Etsy YouTube channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would have to do a lot of work to get it onto another trajectory. And I think that works the same in Etsy. And find those keywords and then play with those. And then if you want to branch out, because didn't he say something about niches?
He said that you should target niche keywords as opposed to the more general ones.
Oh, so not necessarily niche markets.
No. Well, I mean, that's basically was what he said. It's the same kind of thing. But the way that he said to do the titles and tags was to get your title with your main keywords, match the ones that you want to rank for or be found for in the tags to send Etsy the signal. So there's nothing new about that. And then use your tags to put in a variety of different keywords that your item could also be found for, so that you're found for more long tail searches. And I was like, duh, that's what I've been doing. I think that's what you've been doing, And I don't think that people understand that when you put more terms in, you're going to be found for more niche searches.
Well, no, because they don't understand that, and they're very frustrated. And I'm not criticizing anybody for being frustrated, but there was a lady, and I think it might have been on Marmalead or it was on one of the other ones, but she literally had every one of her items, say she had vanilla candles, and she literally had vanilla candle, lavender candle, and said, how else would I ever describe a candle? Well, go in the search bar. They'll give you ways. Do a search. They'll give you ways. Go into Pinterest. They'll give you ways.
Pinterest is great for that.
I love Pinterest.
Oh, yeah.
It's fabulous.
Yeah.
But and then once you get all those, this is what people get confused about. Once you get all those, then go back to Marmalead and say, which one search volume is the highest, right? So if it is vanilla candle and vanilla candles, there's a difference in that search volume. I know that the multiple thing is not the same search. I've done it hundreds of times on video. It's not the same. And sometimes it's quite a bit differently. Like dog beds, it really matters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have another question. Are you ready?
Okay, I guess. We'll find out.
I don't know if this is so SEO-y, but I think it's really timely, and I think it's really making people sad. And so I want to talk about it.
Okay.
Are sales down for everybody, just me, or is it perhaps a seasonal event?
And the answer is maybe all of the above.
Right?
My sales are
it's
up.
Just you seasonally.
Yeah, exactly.
Tara Jacobsen.
My sales are up, but this is my busy time of year because it's wedding season. And in December and November, my sales are down while everybody else is really busy. So instead of worrying what everybody else is doing, I will look at my year-over-year stats. And every time I have a freak out that my sales are dropping compared to the previous month, I go back and look at last year and say, oh, it dropped last year too compared to the previous month. And then I calm down and go about my business. But yeah, don't go worrying about what everybody else is doing because everybody's got a different product. There's different cycles of sales for everything, and you can't compare apples to oranges that way. What was the other option? You said, is it for everybody, seasonality, or is it just me?
Just me.
Just me. Is it just me?
So for me, right, like I think people need to hear this because you hear these Etsy gurus and we act like stupid cake popper lady is doing great and the rest of us are dying here. But I will say my vintage stuff is not selling right now. And I'm like, okay, fine. And because my planner stuff, for some reason, Karen and I just realized we both literally just bought exactly the same planner this week.
Scary. That's very sad.
But so people are freaking out because their kids are home. They're buying more planners. They don't know how to manage their business during the summer. So my planner side is doing great. So what does this tell us? I feel like it tells us a couple of different things. Number one, I'm diversified, right? Like I sell consultations and I sell planners and I sell vintage stuff, but that makes me very able to weather these kind of storms. I also feel like, and I think this is very fun. So what if you sell t-shirts and it's down right now? I am obsessed with the trends of holiday, especially because Etsy does this. So if you sell mugs, why not ride that cresty wave every month for a holiday? I did a blog post with a major holiday for everything. Kara, do you find this in your stuff for your cake decorating supplies?
I actually do. Yeah. And I'll get people asking, I have some things that are specifically for different holidays. Right. And I'll be able to tell, when the holiday shopping is starting because people are starting to buy Christmas stuff or they're starting to buy Valentine's Day stuff or whatever. And I have people use those search terms and the whole thing. So yeah, I can see it coming, and you have to plan kind of 90 days ahead. Like what you're doing now is going to come to fruition in 90 days.
Right.
So use that calendar and look ahead and see what's coming up and then start your planning. And you can see what Etsy is advertising in their banner on the front page, because as soon as they start advertising Halloween, you better have it in your shop.
Now, I'm super interested in this because I don't have this and I'm a curious person. Say you have a red thing. Red things in February could be Valentine's Day.
Depends what it is. Depends what it is.
Okay, and then so do you generally try to make them very holiday specific as opposed to, because I would do this, I've got a red thing. It's Valentine's Day, then I'm hitting 4th of July and I'm doing Christmas,
That's an interesting question though now with the AI that Etsy search is doing though, because if you have something that's not specifically for that holiday, they don't want you to put that in the attributes. Like I have some edible butterflies. I just always use them as the example. I have some that I made specifically for Valentine's Day that have little hearts on the wings. Okay. So that in the attributes has Valentine's Day. But if I had some that were just red, I don't know that I would put that in the attributes for it. I might put it in a tag, Valentine's Day party, Valentine's Day cake, cupcakes, that kind of thing.
That's very fair. And I do think I would do tags. And Gordon, what do you think about this? Because I'm obsessing right now about stocking stuffers. Like to me, I don't sell a lot of stuff that is Christmassy. I have a few Christmas decorations, but I'm looking around at my stuff and thinking stocking stuffers is a thing. Now, from an SEO perspective within Etsy, what are your thoughts on stocking stuffers? Tell us now.
My thoughts would be, in this whole space really, is target the keywords that your customers are going to be searching for. And if they're searching for something and you show up because you used Valentine's Day and they searched Valentine's Day, but the only reason your thing is there is because it's red, and they're like, well, it's not as Valentine's Day as I was hoping, right? Then you're going to get dinged for that. And so I think what it would come down to is, if you've got some vintage things that you think would make fantastic stocking stuffers, put it in there, right? There's a good chance that people are searching for stocking stuffers on Etsy. That could be a fantastic keyword. But like you're saying before, check your stats and make sure it's working for you, because if you're putting these keywords in there and you're showing up in search results, but people aren't clicking on you and you're not getting visits for those keywords, probably doing more harm than good on your listings at that point.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, if you use a keyword and you show up and it does well, Etsy's going to keep showing that listing, and that's going to happen. So, regardless of whether or not it's kind of validation. Does your market think this is a good fit for this product? Yeah. And if it doesn't, then Etsy's not going to show you, and also then you're just kind of wasting your time with that keyword. But really the only way is to make an educated guess, and then if it works out well, keep doing it. And if it doesn't, try something else, because if you're not going to get seen for it, then just move on.
Okay, this leads to my next big question. I feel like people that have multiples of things, so you have edible butterfly. I think you should have a listing for red edible butterflies, blue edible butterflies, pink edible butterflies, purple okay? So that seems very obvious. So that could be why you have 900 listings.
Yes, that's one of the reasons.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, and so that makes sense. So for all you people in the Marmalead group who are asking whether you should have a different listing for each color of thing that you sell, yes, for two reasons, and these are marketing reasons. Number one is you will rank higher for the color edible butterfly. And number two, you will have a higher conversion if the picture they see is in actuality a red edible butterfly, as opposed to it being a blue. It's been shown numerous times. This is an e-commerce wide thing rather than an Etsy thing. Okay, so that's super important. Now, what do you sell that could be a wedding cake, a birthday cake, a whatever? Pick something.
It could still be the butterflies, we could say with that, because I have butterflies that are tagged for birthdays, like the rainbow ones, or like the different colors tend to go with different occasions.
This is what I'm thinking is in a shop like yours, because what I see people doing SEO wise is they will say, I have these, now I have a red edible butterfly. I am going to SEO the crap out of this. Not a cuss word.
You saved yourself there. I heard that. You restrained yourself.
This stuff out of that. But then to me, I think that they should do, and I'm going to go with pink edible butterflies.
Okay.
So you have a pink edible butterfly. Why wouldn't you have another listing for that for baby girl birthday, toddler girl birthday, birthday girl, all of this. And what I see from the people is if I feel like they're hesitant to have multiple listings with different SEO kind of silos. Talk about it.
I feel like people make a lot of assumptions of what the customer knows. And if they see, just like with the colors, that they think that, well, of course the customer is going to know that once they click the listing, they can go pick a different variation. And then I have red, blue, purple, all the different colors. So, if the picture is blue butterflies, like they know I have other colors. They probably don't.
They don't. Yeah.
And if you make if you go the collage route, right, they might not then you have these little pictures and everyone else has these nice zoomed in and you can see it and then you're attracted to those. So I think people are making a lot of assumptions just because the more comfortable any of us get with any given topic, we lose that novice kind of status and you take for granted some of the things that a novice doesn't know. So you go to explain something over here and then sometimes I do this. I'll start explaining something and then I'll use a word that should be obvious to maybe this middle level. And then I'm like, oh no, the people I'm talking to are down here. This is the first they heard of it. And now I just used a word that they don't know yet. So now I've got to stop what I'm doing and go back and explain what that word is and try to pick up again.
Well, it's funny because when my son was about in 3rd grade, that's about the time when they'd start making them study for things. And I said, I had to study something. And I said, you just need to study for it. And he's like, I don't know how to do that. And I was like, oh, you don't? Okay. And people don't understand that customers don't necessarily know how Etsy works with the variations and stuff. And you really have to go as simple as you can so that when they're scanning those pictures of the search results, you're right, you want to see blue. If they do a search for blue and there's blue in the variation, that listing will come up. But if the picture is green, they're just going to scan right past it because that's not what they're looking for. So I did that with a bunch of my butterflies. I took them and separated them out, and the sales of the individual colors went up. And I wrote an article about that for you guys on your blog.
I think you did. And so, but for me, let's talk about gifts for her.
Oh,
right?
God. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about the keywords and stuff. I will have like pink butterflies in this style and pink butterflies in that style. And they have, baby shower, first birthday, Valentine's Day, anything that's pink, little girl birthday, whatever. They have all those tags in there.
I don't understand. First off, I'm tremendously jealous because I don't sell anything that could have multiple iterations. And I'm trying to avoid saying variations because this is very different than variations are. You have it in your actual listing in the Etsy thing. But this to me is such an opportunity. If you want to, so let's say if you have sandals and you have brown sandals and then they look like gladiator sandals, I would say that you should start, and it's really hard to explain this in a way that people will understand because I know that I've done that poorly and then they yell at me. So say you do one whole listing for brown gladiator sandals, and then everything after that first part, next would be Roman sandals, toga sandals, all those kind of flavor of that. And then you can put whatever you want at the tail end of that listing. Your tags are that, then you can throw in the extra listings. Does that make sense to you guys? Gordon, does that make sense to you? Can you explain that clearly?
No, I think that does make sense, and I like the way you'd explain that. I don't know how I could add to that explanation. The one thing that I would say, too, though, is I think a lot of people have an aversion to having multiple listings for what they see as the same item that they're selling because they think that Etsy's not okay with that. Kind of like people don't think they can email their customers because Etsy's not cool with that either. So I think it's a myth really about Etsy, and really it's okay. Etsy's cool with you having multiple listings for the same item, provided that you have the inventory to support those listings. Now you couldn't, if you're a vintage seller, Etsy's not going to be happy if you only have one thing and you make 7 listings, right? But if you have the inventory to support something like that, that's totally cool from their perspective.
The main objection that I hear is people say they want that one listing to gather all the points, all the quality rating. So if you have like 3 listings for the same color of something, and all three sell individually, then you don't get the same kind of boost in search as you would have had if you sold 3 of the one listing.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying it's hard to keep up a matrix of, oh yeah, I threw blue in on this one, even though I was really trying to rank it for sandals for this one. Is that?
No, it's more they're trying to get the listing quality up. So if you just have one and you sell 3 of that one, as opposed to selling
one of each of 3
yeah, one
things.
each, then that one that sold 3 is going to have a better listing quality than if you sold 3 individually. So it's kind of, it's a trade-off. You have to figure out which one is more important to you, Yeah,
but the thing to me is if you never have a chance to sell the other 2,
right,
then nothing's lost, right? And
right. Do you want to sell 5 of one listing, or do you want to sell 10 split up over 3 of them? I'll take the 10 split up over 3 of them.
That's if you can find that many keywords that actually work. Because a lot of times I'll find, like I have keywords for something that I am like struggling to find any keywords. I put them in Marmalead because I think this is the best keyword I've ever had, and it says, So I'm like, well, okay, sometimes I can't split a listing up if I don't have as many, because my things are very specific. It's difficult to think of relevant keywords that would be enough to split up between, 3 or 4 listings. I do use the same keywords across listings too. That is one thing that he said, everybody's like, don't compete with yourself. And in a way, using the same keyword across listings is something that he said to do, especially for the one-of-a-kind sellers. And you had written an article about this, hadn't you?
Yeah.
And he used the example rustic home decor. And he said, if you have a lot of things that would fit with that description, use it in every single one of your listings if you're a one-of-a-kind or vintage seller. And then that sends Etsy a little signal that, oh, this shop sold one of those. Well, maybe we can look in that shop to find another one because that shop is popular, it's selling things. And this has the same keyword. So maybe we'll show that one next time we search, even though that was a one-of-a-kind.
And because our stuff is so weird, I know that works. Like I sell a lot of doorstops because I sell a lot of doorstops.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I have 400 things. I have 3 doorstops and my doorstops will sell out. Oh, asparagus tongs. Like, girl.
Are you serious?
I am the woman that can sell an asparagus tong.
That is really specific.
As soon as I put them up there, they are going to sell. Right? And so I can tell you, I can't tell you about having multiple iterations, but I can tell you about having similar keywords. And that goes to do I renew that listing? So this is a big question in vintage, so I'm going to address it. So the question is, do I renew that listing rather than saying sell a similar one? And I never do renew that listing because then the reviews and the background information is for an entirely different asparagus song, which could be confusing. So what I do is I sell as similar, and that way they don't get confused about their asparagus tongs.
With that idea of using the same keyword, though, that kind of goes hand in hand with having multiple listings for the same item, because you're getting the same kind of boost or you're sending the same signal to Etsy that you've got a lot of this thing.
Right. You're getting credit for it. So that's where I'm saying I think that does work. From my little laboratory experiment, it doesn't have to be that same listing for them to give you credit across multiple things. And it even has longevity because when I sell out of asparagus tongs, I can put another asparagus tong up later and they still give me that credit. Not a huge competitive market, but there is competition.
No, but there is competition in the vintage world, obviously. But it's the same thing with, like, people say, don't use the same keywords because you're competing against yourself. Number one, that phrase is 2 years old. Get rid of it. It doesn't matter with the algorithm now. Just get rid of compete with yourself. And I've got 400 silicone mold listings, and you can bet every single one of those has the phrase silicone mold in there somewhere. Silicone mold, silicone mold. So they know that I've got a lot of them, and they're going to give me credit for that. If someone is looking for one, I'm probably going to show up in the search. Same with the edible butterflies. I use that phrase in every single thing. Cake decorating. I mean, there's just some things that you can use in every single listing, and it just will kind of makes us a web between all of your listings for Etsy to find you. They can creep along the spider web and find your stuff. I would think if people don't want to do the multiple listings, they could try that. and just do the same keyword in multiple listings. As long as it's relevant, then that'll work.
So I now have a fourth topic.
Oh, you said only 3. This is
Bonus
okay.
topic.
I don't know. All right, go ahead.
Because you said something that I think is one of the very few things that we disagree about.
Uh-oh. Okay.
It's exciting.
Okay.
So I come down on the side of if there are no searches or not high volume, but it's something that human beings look for, right? Because when you say there are no searches, it doesn't mean there are no searches. It means that it hasn't had a certain level to show up, right? In Marmalead's algorithm or in Google's algorithm. And I think because I've been playing in Google's world for so long, I'm a little bit more zen about the whole thing, because they will tell me there are literally no searches for this a month. And I'll go look at my analytics and I'm like, yes, there are. There were 3, right? But if I got 3, then other people got, I mean, wasn't the exclusive beneficiary of those 3 people. So that low number, I love the competition because I sit in competition and I see which lever I can pull. But it sounded to me as if you said, if it's a really low volume keyword, you wouldn't use it.
No, unfortunately, I do agree with you on this.
Oh, darn it. Split.
I just meant that it's not as good as I thought it would be. Like I'll think, oh, so many people are going to search with this phrase, and then I'll go and see, what? That's really weird. I thought it was more popular than that. What I'll do is I'll find a like edible butterfly. Well, let me think of a better one. I'll find a basic keyword, 2 words usually. I don't want to get too short tail, but I'll find one that has good search and good engagement, and I don't care about the competition at that point, because that tells me that people are searching for that thing just in general. All right. And then I'll go back with a specific thing about it. Like I'll start with edible butterfly, and then I'll go green edible butterfly. As soon as you get to a long tail keyword, the search and engagement data just drop, because that's just how long tail keywords work. But I want to see the competition at that point. I don't care for a short tail keyword. So at that point, I'll say, oh, there's only 2,000 competing listings. That's a good one, So I use the different data at different points, but I definitely do not shy away from when it says 0 to 50 on the Marmometers. I'm like, I don't care. I look at the competition, and I know that someone is searching for that kind of root keyword, so I'm not worried about that. No, I'm sorry.
I think it just
I
comes
agree
up
with you on that. Sorry.
as a vintage seller. It comes up so much, right? So nobody's like, we look up asparagus tongs, toast tongs, like they all say that there's none, but I think that's from my years of Google. If you literally think that nobody is searching for something and you've tried that keyword, please go into your stats. I know Kara doesn't spend a lot of time in her stats, but I spend a lot in my time in my stats in my long tail keywords, because you can find gold there, because you will be so surprised some of the keywords that these people, now if you're brand new, it doesn't work, but if you have any time selling stuff, there is gold down there, because you have never thought of how some of these people searched and found your stuff.
There was some article about, don't worry about the long tail keywords. Use the short. I was like, what are you talking about? Okay. I don't know if people know what a short tail keyword versus a long tail is. Short tail is, I've heard 1 to 2, and some people say 3. I say 1 to 2, and then long tail is 3 and up. Okay. And I went into my stats for my 3 best sellers, and this is just for this past month. So it's 3 weeks, 3 weeks worth of data. And in that time, I had 3 one-word searches, 25 2-word searches, 35 3-word searches, 22 4-word searches, 8 5-word searches where people are typing in 5 words to find this, and 1 that was 6 words long. And the only reason that I'm showing up for those is because I've got all of the words in the title or tags or whatever, wherever they're looking. Because there's a few places, categories, and that kind of thing. But if people are saying, don't worry about the long tail keywords, no, go and look and see what people are searching for, because that will give you ideas. I do go in there and see, like someone searched for, if I get a lot of kind of long tail searches for first birthday party cupcake topper for girls, then I'm like, maybe I should design from first birthday cupcake toppers for girls,
It's good for product development too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I go in and get ideas, but the majority of my searches are long tail keywords. And this doesn't include all of the sold items, but I had 94 searched phrases just for those 3 listings and 29 sales. And they didn't all come from that. But so it's not like a 29% conversion rate, but the long tail keyword searches matter. And you need to pay attention to that.
Yeah, well,
So
it
look.
It feels like Wayne Gretzky. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the things I sell are old cookbooks. Nobody wants to buy an old cookbook. They want to buy a vintage cookbook or they want to buy an antique cookbook. But I sell old cookbooks because I put vintage, retro, old in a lot of my stuff. Mm-hmm. And I would never know that it was a good keyword, except for that I go into my stats and see what's going on with that.
And some of my best sellers, when Marmalead had the older stats and you guys are doing like an aggregate of all the stuff, it was like 13 searches a month. Anybody would say, oh, that's terrible. And for my stuff, I'm like, ooh, 13. All right. I'm going to take that keyword. Yeah. You know, if you're one of the only ones that show up for that 13 keyword, it doesn't have as much competition, then that's what you want to do. So,
well, that's exactly it. To me, I feel like because, and it's so adorable, like when people say in Etsy, but there are 1,200 competing keywords. I write about marketing on the internet. Mm-hmm. Everybody writes about marketing on the internet. So I'm used to like 9 million, 50 million, however many million competing things, and trying to rank at that level. And so, of course, I am used to long tail. But I think that's definitely a thing that I've been seeing popping up in the Marmalead group is they're really saying, well, I can't find any words that I'm willing to use because they don't show up with searches. I think you do the research, you find the best ones you can get, you use those, and then you use the rest of them. And this kind of goes along with your guys' thing. Use those first words for those good keywords, the good keywords, and then put the other ones at the end, but don't just abandon them and not use them.
Yeah, and I don't research tags. I'll research the main keywords that I'm going to repeat in the tags, and then I'll do the same thing that you do with like just putting as many words in the tags as I can. Because it's 20 characters and you should use all that space. And the tags don't have to make sense. They just have to exist so that Etsy can pull those words out and match them for long tail keyword queries. So
yeah, they have expressly said that the tags don't match the order of the tag words. That's another thing I keep hearing, like they will delete all their tags so that they can put the first keywords of the first. It doesn't work like that. The tags are, that's not. That I understand, Gordon. Have you heard differently?
Nope, that's my understanding too. The order of tags.
Okay, thank the Lord.
Yeah, they said that.
We've certainly heard
said that.
differently.
Yeah,
because that's one of those things that all it takes is someone to say, "I do it this way and it works." Another person say, "I do it this way and it works," and then there we go. We have another opinion of, they say it's one way, and then these other people are saying, "No, I see it. It works." Right?
Well, I think what you do is what Kara and I have done, and the thing that made me smile was Tracy asked us, "Are we going to change our stuff?" And I went exactly the same way you did. I am not going to change anything because I put the work in on the front to find out what was going to be good. I will occasionally be a stats nerd or do something like that, or I'll hear something and I go to my very worst listings and I'm like, you'll hear a really good tip and then you'll be like, oh, I want to try this on some of these. If anybody who listens wants to hear my really good tip, email me, Tara@MarketingArtfully.com. I'll answer you. But yeah, that to me is the thing, is that if you do really good work, that's like my SEO on my website. They used to say, oh, you can use black hat techniques and you can put keywords in your descriptions. This is all going to come up in Etsy if descriptions come in. So people listen to me now. That you keyword stuff, all the words at the bottom, that you have all the, like you have to match the keywords. You have to have so many header tags and this and that. If you just do really good work, if you research your stuff on the internet, if you go to the Etsy search bar and then go to Pinterest and then do all that and then go to Marmalead and check it, you will have a really solid listing. make something else, make an iteration, do something else. Don't just keep churning on those same listings.
Should we talk about where we get keyword ideas for people who are confused about using Pinterest and that kind of thing?
I love keyword
I love
ideas.
Pinterest. Pinterest has all kinds of ideas that you can get for different terms, all right? Then I check Google, and I use that Keywords Everywhere app on the Chrome browser, and it will tell you the Google search data for that. So you can kind of get an idea about if people are looking for it at all. But you do a search in Google, if you have Keywords Everywhere open, it'll give you all the searches to the right that other people have used, so you can write down some ideas there. I'll go to Amazon and look at their search bar. I'll look at the customer ratings for things on Amazon, because sometimes they use words. I'll go to the reviews on Etsy and see what people have used to describe the thing that they bought. I will go to the Etsy search bar. Obviously, you can do that. And then after you have all that, you take it and put it into Marmalead. Okay, you can't just assume that people are searching for something in a certain order or whatever, or even using the word. Put it into Marmalead, and then you get kind of a real life Etsy related specific idea about which ones are the best ones to use. And that's what I do. Now, what were you going to say?
So I talk to humans. It's a really revolutionary thing. So I just did this. I emailed 15 of my favorite people, and I said, give me topics. Like, if, say you were thinking about, I'm writing a post about how to do affiliate marketing for baby mommy bloggers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my girlfriend just had a baby. So you would say, okay, what are 5 things? And you have to give them like a pretty specific question, or they just answer you really weirdly and unhelpfully. But if you were selling baby clothing, you could email any mom you know and say, what are 5 things? What were the 5 gotta haves you need to have when you have a baby?
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get weird words. They're going to be like, I needed a onesie. I needed a Snuggie. I liked her hat. I liked her, little thing. Because the problem with SEO and the problem with Marmalead and with using Pinterest, and I know this for sure for Pinterest, because I tend to go down the same little rabbit trails, because I'm really fixated on what I call things.
Yeah,
and so it's
true.
Really hard for me to break out of that, even to get the related item things. But if you are selling something, and I go back to that lady because she was so sad. She's like, there is no other way to describe a shirt, right? I'm like, okay, I can describe a shirt 35 different ways off the top of my head right this moment. But it's that thing where you get stuck in your own head. So that's a really good way to start finding out ways different people say things, is to email people like who you want to sell to.
Mm-hmm. I think a lot of jewelry makers do that also. I think any kind of specialty techniques that you're using specialty materials, or it's the stones. With, like me, it's the gemstones. I see a lot of people using like really specific names of gemstones or the metals or whatever. And I'm not going to search for that. I'm going to put like green earrings or something like that, and then you start learning.
I will tell you that the jewelry people are really missing it, because I did that video about jewelry SEO, and they're really missing out on sales, because they will say hand hammered, the specific stone.
Yeah, like the techniques and everything. Yeah.
Percentage of silver, the this and that. And that's their whole title. And they miss a lot of times. They miss what anniversary is this stone. What occasion would this stone be for? Mm-hmm. What, and so if you are saying to human beings, hey, I have this thing, and it works with asparagus tongs. I have this thing. What would you use it for? Richie might go, oh, I would totally pick up my hamburgers on the grill with that. Like, I have been looking for that thing. Then that gives you ideas. Do you use everything that your strange friends mention? No, I don't. But it really gets you out of your rut of thinking of the same things.
I agree with you.
Yes. But I think this is important. Mm-hmm. We agree on the 40,000 foot concept of solid SEO, SEOing your products correctly, that integrity, that things like that. And then even when we did those 2 videos where we competed, our method of doing it was really different. Like you were really honed in on something, and I was like, and we diverged, and then we came back together. But I think that a lot of the people, and we were talking about this before, they want that 1, 2, here's step 1 for SEOing your product. Here's step 2, here's step 3, now you won. And that's just not how the world works. You should have an overall plan for your SEO for your store. You should pick 1 or 2 people to follow and do their methods, 1 or 2 tools, do their methods for a while, and then leave it.
Yeah, I don't touch my listings like until they come up, and I look at it and go, oh, I haven't done anything to that one for 6 years. I think maybe it's an update time, but I don't change my listings that much.
Well, this is fun. Do you have any hot techie talk, boys?
No.
You didn't come with a little tiny list of things to talk about?
Well, we kind of touched on them. It was the list I was thinking of was a lot of the topics that came up in that conversation that Kara was talking about earlier. And just kind of going over those and touching on those. I think the people that have heard about them are worked up more than necessary about what was really being said in the conversation. So
yeah, can I say something about that too? Yeah. Because that reminded me, I wanted to say, just thinking about everybody's like, there's a secret group. Okay, it's not a secret group. It's a closed group because Etsy is testing it out for some reason. I don't know why, but they're testing it out. Okay, because they have their own forums. I don't know why they have the separate group. But Etsy does this kind of stuff all the time. They send out surveys to sellers. They send out, questionnaires. They do all kinds of interviews with people, and we don't hear about all of it. It's not something that they're not going to tell us eventually. It's something that maybe they're working on, and it's maybe we're the beta testers for this or something. Everything has a beta tester. Everything has to be tested first before they roll it out. Because if they rolled it out and it all went crazy, then everybody goes nuts about that. So
this is a huge place we diverge. You really try to stay on top of the Etsy forums, at least minimally. Mm-hmm. You try to go in there and do that. You try, like if they send you an email, you read it. This is revolutionary. You read their email and you find out about those things. You belong to the Etsy, like the official, more so than anything, you belong to all these official Etsy things, which you are actually watching and implementing, right?
Yeah, I sign up for everything.
I don't get to complain because I don't, right? I rely on the kindness of friends to tell me the things.
And I just did a video on where to go on Etsy to get all this information, because there are a lot of places you can sign up for things I don't think that people know about. And the biggie is their investors page, because I bought Etsy stock.
I did that one.
Yeah, the investors page is great. But if you own Etsy stock, even if you buy 1 share of stock, then they will send you all of their investor information. So it's totally worth it, because a lot of the things that they send is not stuff that they publish, or it's like upcoming events. And go to their investors page, and it's at the bottom, like where that says forums, teams, investors. Click there and you can sign up for their investor emails. And they'll send you things about upcoming tech conferences that they're presenting at, and the new SEC filings that have everything that's coming up. They have to tell people their plans, and they get a lot of information out of that. So it's all right there, and you can sign up for it. It's not like secret information that they're hiding, because they have to tell everybody now. So take advantage of it if it's there and it's available, And
if you don't care, so either you care and you're doing it and you're like, I really appreciate the fact that Kara cares because we're friends and so she tells me things. But there's other people out there maybe that are more like me. I don't care, but I don't get to complain either, right?
Yeah, you can complain. I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
No, because I've seen a lot of that talk of, well, I don't get notified. You probably got notified. You're just not paying attention.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And you have to look, they send out an Etsy seller newsletter every single week. Every week, and I bet people just go through and delete it because you're like, what's that? But a lot of times it has stuff in there that you need to be reading. It's all public information. So there you go.
Yeah, I think that's fun.
That was fantastic. That was super awesome. I don't know, when we thought we were both going to have you on at the same time, I was like,
why are they scared of us? They're scared of us.
You're both very high energy. And so it was like, this could be nuts. This could be nuts. But this is fantastic.
I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm kind of low key today, I guess. I don't know.
It's a coffee day.
I don't know that I have a low key. I have feelings. And when people invite me to talk about my feelings, I do.
Well, thank you for joining us, and thanks for doing that. This was awesome. Kara, if people want to learn more about you or find you, where should they go?
They could go to my Etsy shop, which is ACakeToRemember, or ACakeToRemember.com. That has all my links. I have a blog and a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Tara Buntin. That's a different. It's youtube.com/Tara Buntin, KARABUNTIN, because I did it that way to begin with, and I didn't change it. So that's the only thing that's Tara Buntin. Everything else is A Cake to Remember on all social media platforms. You can find me.
You post quite a few videos out there regularly, too. So
I do, because I love to talk when I'm
stuff.
awake. I'm kind of asleep right now, but yeah.
And Tara, if people want to find out more about you, where should they head?
All my stuff is on Marketing Artfully, so marketing the pretty way. And then my Etsy digital product shop that has tools for Etsy peeps is Paperly People. You can just look it up.
Thank you both so much. This was fantastic.
Well, thank you for braving us together. It wasn't bad at all.
That was
Not at all.
awesome. It was great.
It was fine. Yeah, you guys survived. You did well.
We all survived.
A lot of estrogen.
We will see everyone else next time on Etsy Jam.